Welcome to the WanderLearn show. I'm your host, Tapon. In this episode, I talk with Clem Chambers. He is a financial analyst who makes some predictions about the markets and just analyzes the markets. And we specifically talk about Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency market, but we also talk a little bit about real estate as well as the stock market. And I value his words, not just because he's written for Forbes for about 20 years or so, but also for the fact that he's been surprisingly accurate on many of his predictions, certainly about cryptocurrency. So you might want to listen to what he has to say for what's going to happen in the year 2026. I'll be coming out with my own predictions at the end of 2025, and you want to look for those. But for now, enjoy this conversation with Clem Chambers. Where are you positioning yourself for the year of 2026?
Okay, let me throw out some ideas. If you're a speculator and you made a load of money in crypto, snap a bit off, put it into some real estate. Yeah, because you need a dumbbell of risk. Real estate is dull, is no risk as long as you insure it. You can rent it out, and it's dull. But when you're old and crumbly like me, you'll look at it and go, I remember when I bought that. Wow, that was a good thing. Yeah. So, slow, low risk. So you keep snapping bits off your high risk wins and stick them into your low risk things like real estate, for example.
I just read a book called After the Spike. I reviewed it, and I'll put a link in the show notes. But in that book, they're talking about how the population will basically go down in the latter half of the century and certainly the next century. And I would think it would be interesting to see if that will be the turn of real estate. And you see in bits in Japan and Italy where the places in the villages are selling for like $20,000, $50,000 or so. What's your take on maybe real estate finally not being like a slow, steady thing, that if we truly depopulate in certain areas, that real estate might actually go in reverse?
I mean, I've got property all around the world, and you can buy some really cheap property in places. But, there's quality is always a thing, right? And, it's only lasted the last 80 years. Why not another 80 years? And this population falling down thing, I mean, that could turn around. I mean,
Yes.
baby booms happen. If these governments weren't so clumsy and punishing to people, then they would breed. Humans don't breed well in captivity, okay? But that could change. And, at the end of the day, if you're a gunslinger, buy a ranch. Yeah. And when you're out there in that zone, it's like all these old fashioned revolutionary armies. They go and they do their bad revolutionary army bit, and they take the money that they extort out of the population, and then they buy property.
Right.
I mean, it's the other end of the dumbbell of risk. You got high risk here, go low risk there. Yeah, and
Right.
property is one of those. One thing you could say, yeah, well, maybe the population is going to fall, but then maybe inflation is going to do that. There's all sorts of things that a diversified portfolio of risk is the thing that everybody should have,
Right.
and that will always look after you. But I don't want to buy that. I hate property, by the way, and I've got tons of it. I blooming hate it, but I love the money that comes in.
Right.
Yeah, and you shouldn't. It's just an asset. It's
How-
an
how do
asset, and assets have risk profiles, and you need to kind of merge them into a nice smorgasbord of risk profile.
A quick aside, we're going a little bit off topic, but how do you find a property manager in disparate locations? Because you imagine you can buy a house or apartment
Quite
in
difficult.
Brazil.
Yeah, quite difficult. Quite
So,
difficult. You have to rely on hard work and luck.
okay. All right. We'll move on to back to the 2026 crystal ball. So you're saying real estate might be a nice defensive thing in 2026.
If you're making a load of money in this market, then snap some off and put some of your winnings into low risk. You could put it in bonds. I wouldn't touch bonds with a 10-foot barge pole. You could put it into, just the spider. Or you could put it into your favorite boring companies.
How about REITs?
I'm not, I just don't do that sort of thing. But
Okay. You like the real thing. as opposed
Yeah, a
to
lot of people have done well. I don't like other people wrapping up my assets quite so much. But
okay.
okay, so what's going to happen? NASDAQ's going to go in, is probably already just about in it or about to go into a bubble. Okay, so rather than being a bull market that keeps going up, it will probably do one of them. And when it
Hmm.
goes into a bubble, ride it up there. Remember, like Bitcoin, it ain't going to a million. And then, get out when you've made enough money. So upcoming NASDAQ bubble sometime in the next 2 years. AI is a runaway train of massive proportions. It's going to cause a boom like humanity's never seen before if the people in charge don't all kill us. Yeah. So there's AI is the good direction. NS, natural stupidity, is the bad direction. But I think that the AI will get to sort things out before the NS gets to send us all, into the apocalypse.
Right. You kind of remind me of Warren Buffett in the sense that you're an optimist. And,
You got to be an optimist. I mean,
yeah.
imagine at the end of the credit crunch when again, if you go back to Fools Salon, if you see me doing it, and when it was coming on, I said, get out before it happened. And then when it got to the bottom, I said, get in. And it was going, oh no, it's the end of the world. And the market keeps going up, but it's not, it's going to crash any minute. Oh, it's still going up. Oh, it's still going to crash in a minute. And they're still saying it's going to crash any minute.
I,
Yeah.
I
And you
I
would
remember,
miss
what
the
was it?
biggest fall.
Alan Greenspan talked about irrational exuberance, and the market still went for another 2 years.
Well, it's rational exuberance, and particularly when he should know better because he was printing the money. And money supply, more money, assets up, less money, assets down. And they know now how to manage the economy by increasing the value of assets by printing money. Because it's all the thing that people hate to hear, and I'm afraid that they are right. Trickle down is the way to go, right? It trickles down and everybody gets a bit more richer and the poor get a little bit better off and the rich get money they don't need and they just stick in the bank and then the banks lend it out and it all trickles down. What, of course, people don't like about trickle down is they want a big slug of cash and they want it through the letterbox like they got in COVID. And who doesn't want that? But, that creates inflation. If you inject cash at the bottom of the pyramid, people there like to spend money. We all know who doesn't know that poor people like to spend money.
Right.
They love spending money. They love it. They win the lottery, they blow it all in 3 years. People at that level love to spend money. They don't have any. One of the reasons they don't, but they don't have any. So if you give them money, not only do they need to spend money because they need to pay off debts or get whatever's the latest iPhone they can't afford, they like to spend money. So that goes straight into inflation. They go straight down the stores. During COVID, um, the French did a little bit of the handing money out to everybody. And the moment those checks arrived was the moment that all the hard liquor disappeared out the supermarket because they all upgraded from beer and wine to hard liquor. So the hard liquor just went gone. Yeah. And that's how you get inflation. Unfortunately, as South Americans find out, I'm going to be a populist. I want the masses to vote for me. Have money, masses. Oh, we seem to have inflation. Nothing to do with me. Hey, have some more money to vote me in. Oh, we got more inflation. Nothing to do with me. Hey, here's some. Oh, by the way, we put a note on the bills now because we've had so much inflation. Have some more of that. Don't cry for me, Argentina. Yeah. And if you want to manage the economy quite as much as they do these days, they manage it by slowly but surely, or not so slowly, inflating stocks and real estate.
Right.
Because that is actually where they live too. That's where their money is. If you look at the public sector, the people that work for the government, most of their assets are in their stock portfolios and in their houses. So of course they're going to push money into that bit because that's where they live and it works economically and they've become addicted to it. But it's a long old train, that one, and that's going to keep going until we get another bubble. We're at the tail end of a boom. We'll get another bubble, and in a bubble, it will go up like that. And then when you see that, you can say, "We're in a bubble." Oh yes, I think I better get out about now. And down it will come, and everybody will cry, and the cycle will turn. There'll always be another crash. There's always
Right.
another bus coming, and there'll always be another crash. Try to get out before it, and you better get out a few weeks before it, not a few months. And don't imagine that it's coming up every 2 years. It's probably every 4 or 5. And then when it happens, count to 10 or, 5 weeks or whatever, and then get back in again.
Right. Right.
The trick is getting out. Once you're
Right.
out, you can let it fall, and when it seems to have stopped, just count to, let a month go by and get in.
Yeah.
Getting back in again is the easy bit. Actually, psychologically, it's difficult,
Right.
right? Getting out, now that takes reading my writings
Right. Didn't
because I've
speaking
got
about
everyone since 2002. I've
right.
caught that in my media, everyone since 2002.
We just got a couple of minutes left, and I want to hear your sense about the dollar.
Down 5 to 10% in the next
Okay.
12 months.
Okay, but longer term, I'm talking about are we going to see the dollarized world be replaced in 10, 20, 30 years?
Well, it wouldn't be a bad thing for America if it was, because,
Yes.
America's had to bleed to death by pumping its confetti into the world to
Right.
have that dollar hegemony. And it means they've had to have a balance of payment deficit, which is really what has impoverished America. Balance of
Right.
payment deficit, you're sending your money abroad, which is fair enough. And it seems like a good idea until they show up with your dollars in their hands to start buying your farmland and your companies and everything. Yeah.
Right.
And that is the balance of payment deficit is something that governments don't like to talk about because it's so obviously bad for the
Do you
country, so obviously toxic. But, it involves them embracing some difficulties to actually get their industry in balance with their balance of payments. And, America and Europe have been very, weak on not managing that and have got a lot relatively poorer in relationship to the rest of the world because of it.
right? But what about the thing that would replace the dollar? Because a lot of people think that some people think that's going to be Bitcoin. Some people think it's going to be a basket of currencies. What's your take? If it can't last forever, no currency does.
Yeah, but I mean, actually, that's one of these myths. Okay, I love myths, and I like it when people have ideas that are just plain wrong. The reserve status of currencies in the past was based on silver and gold, and they
Right.
were the reserve currencies because they had it all. The British had all the silver and gold. Before that, the French had all the silver and gold. Before that, the Dutch had, and the Italians had all the silver and gold. And it wasn't confetti. Yeah, really, the first reserve currency in confetti is the US dollar.
Yeah.
Before
When
that, there
Richard
was no
Nixon,
confetti reserve currency.
right? When
Yeah,
Nixon took us broke the standard off the gold standard.
yeah. Well, you can't have gold as your currency because it's too inflexible. And by the way, if you look at gold production, there's a 1 to 2%, depending on how you count the float of gold, i.e., gold in circulation. It's somewhere between 1 and 5% inflation per annum in gold. They dig 3,200 tons of it up a year. Yeah,
Right.
and if you take that as new gold, i.e., printed money, yeah, and then you say, well, there's that much gold in the world, but most of it is buried in reserves that it's not going anywhere. So there's that amount of free float of gold going around the system. It's quite a big percentage of increase of the money supply, money being gold in that model. So, oh, gold, you can't, yeah, you're digging 3,000 tons of it up every year. And, that is inflation. But, at the end of the day, there was terrible, terrible economic problems caused by gold and being the money because they would have an economic boom like around about 1900. It just didn't have enough gold to back it with, and therefore it became deflation. And deflation, everybody goes, "Oh, my money's going to be worth more tomorrow. I'm not going to spend it." So therefore they don't spend it, and therefore nobody's opening shops or selling products because nobody wants to buy it. They want to hold on to their gold, right? So paper money, and you could look at it another way around. Gold is way more volatile than paper money. Way, way more volatile. It can move 5% up and down in a day. Yeah. Well, your paper money doesn't do that. It just goes, I'm worth 0.01% less now, snip. It's very non-volatile, is the old confetti.
Right.
So confetti is without doubt a very, very, very powerful financial instrument. And, there's nothing else to replace it. Now, whether the dollar is going to not be the, universal currency or not is another matter. I should think it's going to be, it'll see me out.
What decade would you say that Bitcoin's going to go to a million? Some people think it's this decade. Some people say 2030s. Do you think 2040s or maybe never?
Okay. Never or 250 in 4 years, 500 in 8 years, a million in 12. So 12 plus, yeah,
2026. Yeah. So
2025,
2038.
2024. Yeah, 20, 30
So
something.
in the 2030s, let's just say.
Yeah, or not
I
at all.
yeah, or
12
not at
years.
all. Okay.
Yeah, in 12 years or not at all. And the not at all, there's a couple of serious risks. The biggest one is Wall Street, because their job is to suck money out of your pocket into theirs. And when they drain the lake of cash, wherever that lake of cash is, they don't put it back. They
Right.
don't plant trees around the lake. They take the money and they buy houses in the Hamptons and they give themselves bonuses and go down the strip clubs and do their Wall Street thing. They just take it out and keep it. They don't they take it all and give nothing back.
Right.
Yeah, and
L- uh,
with
then-
their fangs in Bitcoin, that's a major problem.
Right. Clem, in the last minute that we have left, give us a range for 2026 for Bitcoin. What do you think on the low end? It sounds like you say maybe 50 or 40. I don't know. How's your low end for 2026 and your high
I
end?
like my low end at 38 because
Okay.
everybody gets upset and goes, "Yeah, it can't be." So, I would say somewhere in the 40s, somewhere in
Okay.
the 40s, and
Okay. That's
then
the low end and the high end, the range.
well, today,
No, 2026.
yeah,
Oh,
no,
where
but
are
it
we
won't
at?
go, it won't go
Okay.
any
Okay.
higher than it
Okay.
might go
Okay.
higher
Okay.
than that this
Okay.
year,
So
but
basically, we're going to spend most of the of 2026 underwater,
yeah,
basically.
going
Yeah.
down and down and
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
That's what a
Yeah.
bear market is. We are in a
Yeah.
bear. And in a
Right.
bear, you see, the difference between a bull and a bear is the shape. Yeah. A bull market floats up and slumps and then floats up. A bear market floats down and spikes up, floats down and spikes
Right.
up.
True.
That's where we are in a bear. So when you see this nice rally we just had, it should roll over and start to go, oh,
Like that.
hope, 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 ooh, hope, hope, ooh.
On that positive note, Clem, remind one last time people just Google your name is the best thing to do. Any other place that you want to send them to?
Substack, if you want to read my text. YouTube, if you want to see me being a lunatic like this. And Forbes, if you want to see something a little bit more sedate. I've written for them for 25 years.
Clem,
And, I read all my comments and I'm always available really for anybody like your good self with your wonderful products and your wonderful channels.
thank you so much, Clem.
Oh, I will mention one other thing. I've
Yes.
just launched a financial information platform called A New FN. And at the moment, it's only UK stuff, but in due course, it'll be American. So if people want to bear that in mind, that will be quite interesting.
A newfm.com. Right.
ANewFN.com. A new
Okay.
financial network. And
Finance.com.
it's
Okay.
data mainly data.
Great. Thank you. And that ends this episode of the WanderLearn podcast, where we explore travel, technology, and transformation. If you'd like to see the show notes with links to what we've talked about, go to wanderlearn.com and click on this episode. If you'd like to connect with me, just remember Tapon. That's my first initial and my last name. Tapon is always my social media username. My website is ftapon.com. Do you want to leave me an anonymous voicemail where you can make a comment or ask a question? Then go to speakpipe.com/ftapon. Furthermore, if you'd like to get rewarded for supporting my projects, then go to patreon.com/ftapon. That's where you can pick up some remarkable rewards for as little as $2 a month. Now, 5 quick favors. Number 1, subscribe to the WanderLearn podcast. 2, download it. 3, share it. 4, review it. And 5, sign up for my newsletter at wanderlearn.com. Our theme music was composed by Eric Stratman. This is Francis Tapon, encouraging you to wander and learn.